Welcome to Tammy Nation. Let's go.
From 9 to 5, been biting my tongue for all this time. Won't let anyone cut me short. I was thinking this was the way to go, and you put up your puppet show. I say cheers to life. No, I'll be no good man's wife. Just leave me alone. I'm running the show. I'm telling you, it's my time to rise up. Live the life I'm proud of. No, you better go home.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Good evening. I had to set a couple things. Sorry about that little bit of delay. I had to set some things up, but welcome back to Tammy Nation. I decided to go ahead and cover some headlines that were popping out and about today. After last night's debate, there's been a lot of fire in the hole, per se, with Biden and all his people and the Democratic Party. Also, some new stuff about Jsixxx came out, and with Trump along with the Jsixxx ruling that the Supreme Court did. We'll cover that. And then Bannon, my guy Bannon, has to report to the pokey July 1st. So we'll cover that as well. So the first thing I want to cover and talk about a little bit is about Biden. You know, after last night's debacle debate, there's some stuff going on behind the scenes in the Democratic Party. And he, let's not forget that he hunkered down for 7 days to prepare for this debate last night. And that's the performance that he was able to put out there for everybody. So that's why everybody's in a panic, not liking it. And they're talking about replacing him. There's a lot of media talking about behind the door scenes meetings that include Obama and a couple other people that I'm going to cover. And we've got a big Democrat donor, a longtime donor named Bill Ackman, who has his own take on what's going on with Biden as well and what's going on with the Democratic Party. We have to remember something, that these people who in the media who are all of a sudden shocked at Biden's performance last night, they've seen him and known him for a very long time. They see him daily. This is not new to any of them. This is not new at all. They were the ones pushing the narrative that he was fine, that he looked okay, his health was fine, and stuff like that. They basically lied to us all day long, every day. They were telling us, you cannot believe what you see because it's edited. Hey, Kim Ellen, good to see you. You cannot believe anything that is out there in the media, from the media, because it's been censored and the like. And now we find out after last night that everybody suddenly is in shock over how he behaved, how he looked, and all that stuff. Even in the after part, he did something. And, of course, his wife Jill was there to speak for him, help him, and all that stuff like she always does. I don't see Melania Trump escorting Donald Trump off of a stage or giving him direction or speaking for him. He's a man's man. He's got his wits about him. He doesn't need his wife to speak for him. And Biden completely last night with everything. And Jill today was like, I saw a video about her saying, oh, good job. You answered all the questions. And she said in the video, she looked at the audience and she goes, and what did Mr. Trump do? And everybody said lie. It was just so pitiful. What man, let alone the leader of the United States of America, is going to be impressed with his wife speaking for him and holding his hand and walking him off a stage, a debate stage, a stage that he was going up against his opponent to run again, to become president of the United States for 4 more years. It was horrible. And I hope that it woke a lot of people up, a lot of people that said that we were crazy for what we were seeing. Oh, we just don't like Biden. No, he's totally incompetent. It's a lot of people are coming out having their opinions about it. And after seeing that, I think that basically they set him up to replace him, that it was a good way for them to usher him out. So in my opinion, and it's only my opinion, I think it would be basically a good idea for them to wait to replace him after the DNC and all the stuff they have going on, because then they can just usher somebody in. If Biden has to step down, volunteer to step down, he has to agree to it. If he doesn't, oh well. But after the DNC convention and all that going on, they don't have to do anything but usher somebody else in. If they do it before that, they have to take them around and get the delegates, secure money, secure him and everything else, or her, whoever they put in place. Where if they wait till after, they can just pull them out and put the other one in. Doug Cass is a big DNC insider, and he posted on his X platform page today. He's actually Ron Klein too, formerly chief of staff, and Barack Obama, he said, are having a sit down with the president today. So it's over with this evening. But Jill Biden, the wife, is insistent upon Joe running. She doesn't want him to not run. Kamala, I guess, is not very happy because she's being overlooked as the replacement. And this is what he's saying behind the scenes. But Gretchen Whitmer from Michigan and Gavin Newsom are the two that they're looking to replace. And if you saw last night on CNN's red carpet, Newsom was all over the red carpet. He's been traveling, meeting with world leaders and all that kind of stuff. Back earlier in the year, we were saying, what's he doing over in wherever he is at, all the different places, speaking to these world leaders? What does he have to do with anything? And now it seems to be coming to fruition of what he was indeed doing. Basically, Whitmer was not there, and Whitmer did give a statement that she said that one person on the podium last night at the podium was telling the truth and the other was lying. That's basically all she had to say. Also, this Doug guy was saying that his neighbor is hosting the Bidens in East Hampton tomorrow, that it is going to be a fundraiser. And he said it will be very, very interesting to see if that fundraiser goes through. So here it is, somebody that is a big DNC donor, somebody that is on the inside, coming out on his X platform page saying his feelings about these inside meetings with Obama and Ron Klein, and trying to figure out how to maneuver, what we do from here, because it was such a disaster last night. It was like a one and done for Trump. I think, once again, after reviewing some more, that Trump was very wise and handled things very well. He was laid back. He allowed Biden to speak. He didn't interrupt. There was no need for him to. I think that he was actually allowing us and everybody else that watched to see how bad a shape Biden was in. Trump didn't even need to do anything. Just let Biden keep talking. Almost every statement ended in mumbling, going off topic, or looking lost in space. And it is not a funny thing. To me, it's elderly cruelty, and especially by his wife. And I said this a long time ago, that the state that this man is in is not funny. It is not good, and that she's terrible for allowing him to be put forth like this. That is not love. That is not support. That is selfishness and greed and wanting to keep control and putting that man out there like that. So the other thing that came out today about this was there's a billionaire hedge fund manager named Bill Ackman, and he came out blasting the Democratic Party, and he called the fake news mainstream media fake news for lying and misleading the country about Joe Biden's health and mental acuity. He said even Biden's personal physician have continually defended Biden, insisting that he's in good health and fit to serve. Then don't forget that the White House press secretary, Pierre, she used to lash out at all the conservative media outlets for circulating what she described as cheap, fake videos of Biden looking old, feeble, and senile. So she's got to eat those words today, I believe, because she said that it was fake stuff, things put together, cheap videos. We saw last night the shape that he was in. Also earlier this month at a fundraiser in LA, Biden and Barack Obama were on stage together. And after that fundraiser was over, if you guys saw it, Obama had to grab Biden's hand and lead him off the stage, and Biden was kind of frozen. Barack treated him like a nursing home patient to walk him off the stage. And, I'm not trying to knock older people. I love older people. I work with older people. But when they need assistance like that and they are in that kind of shape, they certainly don't belong in the White House at all. I don't think there's anybody that can justify him and his capabilities after seeing what happened last night. And don't forget, he prepped for this for 7 days. 7 days it took him. And that's all he had to do. In his X account, Ackman said, as much as last night was an indictment of the Democratic Party for misleading party members and the country about the mental acuity and health of the president, the media deserves far more derision and scorn. I and others were repeatedly criticized by the media for questioning the competency of the president. Among other false accusations, I was accused of spreading misleading videos, which clearly showed Biden's deterioration. Do you remember the heavily excerted and edited President Biden's 60-minute interview, where the interviewer covered for the president by saying he was very tired? So he comes out and says 60 Minutes knew, the New York Times knew, CNN knew, MSNBC knew. And he said the left-wing media have had total and complete access to the president, his staff, and his administration. They all knew, but they told you otherwise. They outright lied to you. So that's why we have a problem in this country with trusting anyone or anything, because we're lied to. And we saw it for ourselves last night. A lot of times people that have been on the right have been talked of as being worshiping and being cult-like, right-wing echo chambers. But the sad reality is the institutions that we trust or are supposed to trust, that is the media, the government, our representatives, really, they've all destroyed any credibility that they have, because their perception of the two is so far off. With Trump derangement syndrome, with Biden's okay and we love Biden, the truth comes out. The truth always comes out in the light, doesn't it? It's can't be hidden for very long. So it'll be interesting to see what the Dems decide to do, if they decide to wait till later to replace him, if he even wants to step down, because Biden came out with statements a little while ago saying that he's running again, he's capable, he wants to do it. He's not going to step down. He's not going to not run. So we have to wait and see what's going to happen. Hey, Chris Gilbert, good to see you. So the other thing I wanted to talk about was the Supreme Court overturned the DOJ's use of that 1512 statute pertaining to the obstruction of an official proceeding in cases related to the Jsixxx events. So basically, that is a major win for all those that we have been supporting and wanting out of prison, these political prisoners. I'm going to continue and read through some of this article from Gateway Pundit to make sure that you get the accurate information. It says this decision reveals that the Department of Justice unlawfully prosecuted over 350 Americans for their participation in Jsixxx, which is a blatant misuse of the law aimed at punishing those who protested Biden's election and at criminalizing political dissent. The DOJ and U.S. Attorney Matthew Graves are prosecuting Donald Trump under 4 counts of protesting the 2020 election. 2 of the 4 charges are for violating 18 U.S.C. 1512, and 2 are for conspiring to do so. Because the other 2 counts are fuzzy, special counsel Jsixxx's case against Trump could collapse in an ocean of vagueness without the only 2 clear counts. Hundreds of defendants have taken plea deals because of the severe threat of being charged with 1512. So stop right there. Hundreds of defendants took plea deals because of the threat of being charged with that 1512. Attorney Roger Roots is battling cases where the DOJ offers plea deals, usually of the 4 misdemeanors, and then adds felonies like 1512 as a retaliation against defendants who won't plead guilty. It's horrible. Judge Carl Nichols dismissed 18 USC 1512 charges against 3 Jsixxx defendants, Jake Lang, Garrett Miller, and Joseph Fisher, on the grounds that the conduct alleged was outside of the reach of the statute. The statute was passed as a species of obstruction of justice by tampering with evidence. It has never been used in this way before. Prosecutors are, in effect, legislating from the grand jury room, inventing non-existent crimes as if they were Congress. The trouble is, the DOJ has never used this statute before for demonstrations, even those protests that have descended into skirmishes, violence, riots, assault, or worse. Washington, D.C. was under siege of arson and riots in 2017 before and during Trump's inauguration. If the DOJ has never before believed that 18 U.S.C. Code 1512 covers demonstrations, why should the Supreme Court take a different view today? So it was a 6-3 vote that the court holds that prove a violation of the law. The government must now show the defendant impaired the availability or integrity for use in an official proceedings of records, documents, objects, or other things used in an official proceeding or attempted to do so. So the Supreme Court reversed the D.C. Circuit, which had previously adopted a broader interpretation of the law to allow charges against Fisher to proceed. The case now returns to the D.C. Circuit, where the court will assess whether the indictment can still stand under this new, narrower interpretation. So that was pretty cool. And then also that ties into a big win for Trump as well, because it's knocking out a big part of the case that Jack Smith has against him. And it also knocks out hundreds of the convictions. Attorney Jonathan Turley came out, and he's had a few comments as well about this overturning today. He said it's hard to see how Jack Smith's indictment against Trump holds up after the Supreme Court overturned the obstruction charge. For Trump, this rips the wings of the plane that Jack Smith has been trying to take off in D.C. In an ordinary case, there would be a superseding indictment. Smith may try to go forward on the remaining counts. However, it's hard to see how the indictment holds together. Jack Smith suggested he will find a workaround if the Supreme Court reverses 2 of the charges against Trump. And also, Smith claims the obstruction charges will still stand against Trump because the alternative electoral certificates represent documents that were fraudulently used in an official proceeding. And yet those papers weren't even sent or signed by Trump. So this makes it pretty clear for those of us, you know, when you get into legal jargon and codes and all that stuff, at least for me, it's hard to understand. It's like if you specialize in it or you follow it a lot, you know, maybe it's easy, the process for you to understand. But for me, this article really brought forth clarity and understanding for somebody like me to know what is going on instead of it being convoluted and complicated. And it said also, to wrap it up, Jack Smith is not the only one threatening to circumvent the Supreme Court. He's also got a pal and U.S. Attorney from D.C., Matthew Graves, who also fired a warning shot to the U.S. Supreme Court and the Jsixxers who are serving time. So this will be interesting to see how this moves forward and what happens. So that's basically good news on a Friday. We got some good news. It feels like some things are bending that curve. Like we've made it up the hill. It seemed like the hill had a flat line, which normally hills don't. They go up and down, but it seems like it went like this. And now it seems like it's coming down. It seems like a lot of things are getting exposed. We're finding out more information, and it seems to be turning the way of justice. So we can just keep hoping. We can just keep praying and keep our eyes on it. And then the last thing I want to cover here is Bannon. Steve Bannon has to report to prison by Monday because the Supreme Court did reject his last-minute bid to stave off the 4-month sentence for defying subpoenas from the House Jsixxx committee. So Bannon, if you weren't familiar, was convicted in D.C. or Washington on 2 counts of contempt of Congress nearly 2 years ago in July 2022. And he was sentenced to 4 months in prison in October of 2022. But U.S. District Judge Carl Nichols had put his sentence on hold as he pursued an appeal of his conviction, which was rejected in May. Nichols then ordered Bannon to report to prison by July 1st, saying there was no basis to continue to delay the sentence. An appeals court then rejected Bannon's appeal of the decision, leaving only the Supreme Court to help him avoid incarceration. So that's a whole process right there that's been ongoing for 2 years now. So basically, he was held in contempt of Congress for blowing off the January 6th committee's request for documents and testimony as part of its investigation into Trump and Trump's attempt to overturn the results of the 2020 deal and remain in power in the lead up to the Capitol Jsixxx stuff in 2021. So basically, Bannon's lawyer told the Supreme Court that he was relying upon the advice of counsel, saying he was waiting for issues of executive privilege to be settled. But as federal prosecutors noted in their 2022 sentencing memo, there was no operational claim of executive privilege, as Bannon had been a part of the Trump administration years earlier, not during the time frame being examined by the Jsixxx committee. Former Trump advisor Peter Navarro was sentenced to 4 months in federal prison on the same charges, but he's finishing up his charges because he reported to prison in March, I believe it was. And Bannon is going to go July 1st. They've already given him an inmate number by the Federal Bureau of Prisons as well. So they've already got him a number and stuff like that. Bannon is not concerned. Bannon said that he's not going to ever stop fighting, that he was born for this, doing this. He's fighting the good fight to save this country. And if you watch his show, War Room, there's a lot of good people out there, average people that are pulling together, helping each other, finding out what truth is, and having voices. Voices are very important. Voices need to be heard. Opinions need to be heard. Truth needs to be found, because if we wrap up into November 5th without having Trump in that White House, I really believe we're in a whole lot of trouble. Look back at the last 4 years and how actually all the court systems have been weaponized. The departments, the 3-letter agencies have been weaponized. We've got innocent people, normal citizens that were charged and held in prison, some of them fined, just like the Jersey Health Fitness Club owner that finally all the charges got released off of him. But he almost lost everything. He had to dig in deep to stand up for what he believed in. And all the charges are finally dropped. But this was years, you guys. So we have to look at ourselves and say, you know what, sometimes we do get fatigued and tired and step away. I've said that before. But we have to have skin in the game in order to win, and to order have our voices heard, and to make change, the change that we so badly want. We can't wait and have other people do it all the time. This guy in Jersey, who with his fitness club stood true, and he made it, and he beat it. All of us are going to be asked to do something at one time or another. And as Bannon says, are you listening to the call that you have for this country? Do you want to fight for this country and do it in the right way? We do it with knowledge. We do it with information. We do it by looking at both sides and not being blinded by one side or the other. This is not a left or right deal. This is about America. It's about our children. It's about our futures. It's about our country that we love. It's about taking back this country and putting it in what we want this country to be. I don't like what it's doing right now. I don't like it. I don't like it for my kids. I don't like it for your kids. I don't like it that they have trouble finding jobs, or if they do find a job, they don't pay benefits and they have to work 2 and 3 jobs part-time just to try to get any kind of money, let alone trying to have their own place and stuff. There are people out there doing okay. Of course there are. But the average person, the average young person trying to find a job that they don't get in debt in college for by $80,000, $100,000 for, and try to have a start. How can you be in debt for college that much? Try to have a vehicle, let alone raise a family, let alone do anything but work your tail off to try to pay off that debt, yet try to live on your own. It's impossible. The money doesn't meet. Paycheck to paycheck doesn't meet the needs of just living basic life anymore. You know, so that's what I'm in it for, is to help try to change that, to be aware, to go to meetings, to do events, It is not always pretty, but dang, there's a lot of people out there fighting in your local area. You can find out. And I've said before, we need to recruit younger people out there as well, because the younger is what the left and liberals are latching onto. They're convoluting who they are as men and women, making them believe you don't have to be a man or a woman. You can be anything that you want. And we just look at all the craziness out there. We are well aware of it. We've seen it for year in and year out lately, but that's what it takes. You don't have to know a lot. You can go in anywhere to any meeting and they will help you. People will guide you and help me. That's what I did. I had no clue about policies, all these different, I poll watched. I had no clue about any of it, but there was just a fire lit in me as an American citizen and as a mother to watch and see what was happening to this country and to our children and even to our elderly. That's another whole nother show, the elderly in the military, but the elderly as well. After the sickness came and went through and we saw what happened, nobody was really, I don't believe, looking legitimately out for our best health. I think it was scare tactics. I think that we were made to convert to what they wanted us to believe in and do, like robots. And that's what it was. And we look at all the data that's come out now from the sickness and the different things and the different people. Money and power is real. There are families that have money and power that do control a lot of things out there. They've taken it away from the little people, the average citizen, me and you, including our jobs, including our safety for our future. Social Security is always an issue that I remember hearing about my whole life. There's not going to be enough. There won't be any left. Isn't it time we straightened it out? People know what the heck to do to straighten this stuff out. If we have legitimate, straight, honest people running and representing us, there will be no stopping us. People need to just keep fighting the fight. There's solutions to all these problems. It's a matter of, do we want to fight to get the solutions permanently, or do we want to just name call back and forth, or do we just want to bury our heads in the sand? We all have choices to make. We all pick the fights that we're going to be partaking in and what we're going to do. But the bottom line is, you and I live and breathe in this country, United States of America, and you can't tell me that you're happy with the way it is. And you can't tell me that you're happy in the shape it is in for our kids and our grandkids and so on and so forth. There's no way. So we've got one chance to get it back. I really believe that when you look at everything that's happened. And like I said, it doesn't take brains to be a brain surgeon to understand any of this. It really doesn't. It just takes caring and having a heart of it, praying to God, keeping your faith, staying strong. When you need a break, go away, take a little break, and then come back. But come back. So that's what I have for you this evening, you guys. Thanks so much for joining me. I hope you have a pleasant weekend, everybody. I hope the weather's good where you're at. Where I'm at, it's been really bad the last few days and messy and rainy and cloudy, but we do need the rain. But I'm looking forward to it, spending some good time with friends and family, and just, being thankful that we still have a voice, and being thankful that I'm able to use it. And that, God inspires us to do what we can do. If we listen, he'll inspire you as well. And it takes everybody. It doesn't just take a few. So with that, I'm going to get out of here. Take care. God bless. And I will talk to you guys soon. Have a wonderful, peaceful, wonderful weekend, you guys. Bye-bye.